What if the way you've been telling your life story reveals the secret to what is holding you back? Stories play an integral part in how we see not only ourselves, but the whole world. Stories are more than just an important part of communication. They also reveal hidden aspects of our inner talk, which can either support us or end up holding us back from the very things we want most in life, without us even realizing it. Join author, mindset coach, and award-winning singer-songwriter Carrie Rowan on her show, Look for the Good, every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. when she shares nuggets of wisdom from her internationally best-selling book, Tell a New Story, 5 Simple Steps to Release Your Negative Stories and Bring Joy to Your Life. Carrie's powerful stories and compelling guests will empower you to change how you look at your own life while giving you some powerful tools and tips you can use every day to help you feel better and move yourself closer to the life you've been longing to live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Look for the Good. I'm your host, Carrie Rowan, mindset strategist, and I wrote the book on stories. And I love sharing nuggets of wisdom about the stories that we tell each other, but more importantly, those stories that we tell, those quiet ones inside of our head. And you can join me and my special guests as we share our personal stories of strength and triumph every week here on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. You can listen online on your mobile device, in your car, or even ask Alexa to play Dream Vision 7 Radio. And tune in every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern to get real stories and tips on how to turn your story and your life around and evolve with us as we unite humankind with universal love. So excited to be here, everybody. And I have Shari waiting in the wings. Hello, Shari.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Whenever
Right?
someone's listening. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here with you. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so excited to have you. And before we dive in, you guys know I love talking about stories, right? And it's in those stories. We talked about those stories, the little ones that ring around in our head, they bounce around. And they're not the good ones, right? They're the ones that keep us stuck in our lives. They're the ones that prevent us from feeling joy. And we're going to talk a lot about joy today. As a professor of happiness and joy, you guys know I love talking about joy and finding that joyful moment. So whether you know it or not, you've got a joy story. You just forgot about it. We lost perspective, right? We watch too much news. We get all wrapped up. We overthink things. We get too many decisions. We have too much. We're rushing. We have all these things on our plate. And we forget that we actually do have a joy story. We do have a happy story. And I love talking about what you can do to build that stuff into your day, right? How can I stop bouncing this negative story around in my head and start thinking about what I actually feel good about in my life? What's one thing that's working? Okay, you might have 2 or 3 that are not working, but what's that one thing that's working, right? And that's the story we want to focus on. And I'm so excited because I have my Joy sister on today. Can I read your bio to
Of
everyone?
course, of course.
It's so fun when somebody else reads your bio for you. So, Shari is a #1 best-selling author, 2 times TEDx speaker, and the host of the hit streaming talk show Good Morning Joy, and the upcoming docuseries Joy Drive, known as America's Joy Magnet. I love that. Her mission is to help the world rediscover its joy through meaningful media that inspires authentic connection, healing, and self-love. That's so beautiful, my Joy sister. Welcome on the show.
Thank you so much for having me again. I always, when, we first started talking, I was like, it's Carrie and Sherry. It's the Carrie and Sherry Joy show. So I love
We have
that.
got to. There's something in our future with Carrie and Sherry show, like we first talked about. Carrie and Sherry's joyful moments. I don't know. It's something. It's out there. You guys can write it and tell us what you think about that. What we should call it. So we have so much to talk about. We had so much in common. I loved our chat together. We probably could have chatted for 2 hours, which I'm sure I'm going to have to cut us today because we are going to have so much goodness to talk about. Let's talk a little bit about that story. Give us a little backstory on you. How did you get to be the joy magnet? And like, why is joy your theme song?
Okay, so I'm going to be very aware of us not having to run out of time. So I'm going to
Yeah.
do my best to be concise here. Joy was not an easy journey at first, simply because of what you said about the story I told myself, because I wasn't aware that it was always there.
Mm,
And that's because all of my focus was on all of the things, external things that had happened to me. And so as a young child, I experienced childhood trauma,
mm, 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 mm,
and that journey honestly just took me, 20 years. 20 years. And in a place where I disconnected from who I was, from who I really was, and to survive, as we hear so many stories of trauma and what that does to us. And so it honestly was this journey of reconnecting back to myself. And through that, the reconnection, that is where I discovered joy, what I knew to be different than happiness.
Mm.
And in that, I started work, other circumstances that happened along the way, but that's just really of the journey that took me back to myself, to the truth of who we are and the authentic expression of that. And that to me is joy.
Oh, I love that. And there, I love what you said too. You said so many good things I want to tap on, but you had totally said about joy versus happiness because those two concepts are really different. Like, everybody's on this search for happiness, and that's the problem. We're on the search for happiness, right? Because happiness is fleeting. It's a moment. It's here. It's there, right? We love it when we have it, but it's really not the pursuit. What you said is the pursuit is getting back to ourselves. And just like we get so discombobulated, like I was talking about those stories, and we really forget what the pursuit is, happiness, achievement. We get sort of off on these tangents. And I love what you said about focus because that's one of the huge things I talk about in my book. One of the quickest ways to change your mindset or to become aware is to start looking at what you're focused on, right?
100%. And that really is, as I looked at your work, I was like, that's really what it is. It is the stories. It are the stories that we tell ourselves. It is, what am I going to feed? You know what I mean? Like you have the tiger, and am I going to feed that, positivity, or am I going to focus on all of the stuff that doesn't serve me? I always honestly think of, and this is going to date me, but I always think of the show Let's Make a Deal, the old version,
Yeah.
and what's behind door number one and door number two, honestly. And I'm like, door number one's going to feel better. Door number two's not. It's the same thing happening in our world. And I always choose door number one. And that's because there are always gifts there. And
Yeah.
this pursuit, like as I think about the pursuit of happiness, I always imagine this, in a race, the dogs racing and there's, the carrot or whatever it is, the rabbits, and you're
Yeah.
constantly chasing something that maybe eventually you'll get for a moment, but it'll slip through your hands. Whereas joy for us, I believe, is steadfast. It's who we are at our core.
Mhm.
And that is nothing you need to chase. That is just something you return to.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's something you return to, right? Because here's the thing our brains are so beautifully predisposed to look for what's wrong. And when you know that, I think a lot of people walk around and they don't realize that they're not the only one who's got that story. They're not the only one whose brain keeps them up at night, right? Like we are wired that way to keep us safe, right? So we don't have to get into the neuroscience, although I love the neuroscience.
Yeah.
But that's the way we're all wired, right? And it's supposed to be keeping us safe. But what it does is keeps us small, keeps us stuck, keeps us in this tiny little bubble where we're so afraid to do anything because it keeps reminding us of all the junk that happened in our life that we wish didn't happen, right? But here's the thing, everybody, we all have that. And one thing I really know for sure is that unless you are doing something deliberately to manage that and manage that mindset, it's managing you.
Yes. So, and that is beautifully said. That's it either can run your life or you can run your life. So, I just listened to this amazing meditation yesterday morning, and this gentleman with this great accent was talking about how our minds broadcast stations and the mind, whether it's the worry station, the comparison station, whatever that is, and our awareness is the listener to it, and we get to choose and tune into which station we want to listen to. So we are not our minds. We get to choose, the
Yeah.
awareness. And I just thought that was so beautifully said. Of course, he sounded much better with his accent, but you get the point.
I love that. And what I love about the radio analogy is quite a few things, but I love that you can turn the volume button down, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I always teach my clients, just acknowledge it. Oh, thank you so much, brain. I know you're trying to keep me safe, but I'm going to get on that stage anyways, and I'm going to do that thing that I want to do, right? Like,
Yes.
thank you so much, but I got this. And when we can kind of reassure that brain, because really, that's really just the little child in us, right? going off at the mouth, they're scared, or they're having a tantrum, or they want something, they're stomping their feet. That's really all that really is. And when we can kind of soothe it and calm it and sort of that reparenting ourselves, we can turn the button down on that and shift our focus on what is working and what we want. And maybe you're going to feel a little bit of fear and you're going to do it anyways.
Yeah. And I think it's important to say, because I know that there are listeners now, I have them in my world too, that are like, oh, well, that's easy to say, except when you're going through something really challenging. And yeah, it is much easier, of course, to focus on something good when it's not incessant. I currently am going through a lot right now, and it isn't as easy. However, I have the awareness and the tools to know, okay, you're going down a rabbit hole. I could speak myself through it. Where do we want to shift our focus? So once you have the willingness and the awareness to say, okay, this doesn't feel as good, I'm going to give myself just a moment, just a micro moment of something that feels good. And then you give yourself just a little more. And it's walking through that. And it's not, toxic positivity. It's not denying. It's not acting like any of this is, not happening.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the, as you said, like the acknowledgement of it and really gifting yourself with some love and compassion and understanding as you
Mm-hmm.
move through that difficult moment.
Yeah, I love it because we all have those, right? We all have those, and here's where I totally agree with that. And sometimes it does seem, oh well, it's easy for you because you're positive, whatever that is, right? But everybody can do this. It's a choice. We have the choice. We can decide to either let that mind run us, or I'm gonna, like you said in the beginning, I love that analogy. Let's not let the let's run our lives. Let's co-create our lives with the universe. And it's this sentence I heard one time, and Tony Robbins had somebody on his podcast, and it was like, oh my gosh, so bone chilling, like empowering. And this gentleman, I don't remember his name or the story. I never remember the story forever, but he had lost his son, and he said he liked formulas, and he figured out the formula for happiness. And the formula for happiness was, how can I find a way to be happy despite? Because we all have the fill in the blank, despite fill in your blank, right? How can I, despite this, find a way to feel better, find it just a little bit better, like you said? Because here's the thing that I know for sure as well, is that tiny little things that you do every day, those little micro habits we talk a lot about these days, right? Those tiny little things, whatever it is, maybe it's the meditation you did, it's my little morning routine that I do every day, that starts to accumulate over time. The negative stuff, we always think about that accumulated. Oh, I'm so stressed. I don't know, we're going to collapse. And we know if we don't do something about it, it's going to take us over. But guess what? The positive stuff starts to accumulate over time as well. And you can look back 20, 30 days from now, even 5 or 10 days from now, and go, wow, I'm feeling just a little bit better. And start to let that get some momentum all on its own.
Yeah, and it's just like working out. Honestly, you realize what a muscle that you've built with that. And I often say, Carrie, to people, I feel like joy is my flotation device in a honestly, because I have practiced those micro moments. I have given myself that they've built. So whenever a challenge comes knocking on my door, while I face it and go through it and walk through it, I always feel like I'm held up by this joy muscle that supports me and gives me that the insight, the wisdom that to know, all right, you're going to get through to the other side. And I think just having that belief allows people to keep taking forward steps.
I love that. I love that. So tell us your little mantra that you say to yourself, because I feel like we're kind of talking about that. We're getting to that point where, like, I have a little something that I say to myself that helps me. It reminds me when all that stuff, the wheels are falling off, and I forgot that I can get through it, right? So I'll share mine with you first. Mine is that things are always working out for me, and you guys can borrow that. You can borrow that. Things are, and I forget. I forget sometimes, and I go, wait a minute. Things are always working out for me, and this is going to work out too. So share, if you would. Do you have something that you say to yourself?
Honestly, what I always do, all is well, all is well, all is well, and deep breaths and a hug. It's like this little practice.
Mm,
And I do self hugs a lot. I learned this years ago when I was having a moment, like a flashback for the first time of reliving childhood stuff. And I
wow.
held myself in that and I said, I got you. And so there is the all is well, all is well, all is well breath, hug. I got you. And that always reminds me that I am safe and I am loved and I am taken care of.
Oh, I love that. I got you with the hug because again,
Yeah,
there's that little child in us, right? We're
for
so
everyone.
right for everybody's got that little child, and they're all wounded in some way, shape, or form. And so I love that. Just remembering because I feel like we're so externally focused. We want somebody else to do that for us. Rightly
Yes.
so, right? We spend our half our lives looking for somebody to do that for us, to sort of reparent us. When the truth is we've got that right here inside of us. We can take that moment, and telling yourself that you've got you is so beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, it's helped me through so much, I have to say, because you're right. We spend, for most people, 18 years in our homes being parented, and then we enter the world on our own. And suddenly, those 18 years that we've been coddled and loved and told, like, we don't have that anymore. And we learn to become, which is beautiful, independent and do things and do for others. But we forget ourselves and how that part of us still needs that. And when I had that moment, it was intuitive. Like no one ever told me to do it. It was in that moment. And I said, I just wanted a hug. And so I was saying out loud and I heard very clearly, so give yourself a hug. And so I did. And those words came out and it's become a daily practice for me.
I love that so much. A daily practice is really important, and I think people underestimate how important a daily practice is. Because, again, like I said before, you can accumulate the good stuff, right? You can start to do those tiny little things every day. And setting that practice, I like to call it, it's one of the first things I tell a new client to do is set up a non negotiable morning routine. It's non negotiable. That means nobody else can barge in on it, and you can't forget about yourself. Non negotiable. How do you
Yes.
make sure? What's your little secret to make sure that that happens for you every day?
The same way we brush our teeth.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like we wouldn't think about not doing it. It's a non-negotiable for most people. Nasty for those of you who are not. But yeah, we do it. And so and for me, honestly, one of my non-negotiables is I take walks every day. I have to. I do it, whether that's hiking in the mountains here or even just around my block, because that is what centers and grounds me. So it just becomes, yeah, part like brushing my teeth. That's
Yeah,
it.
I
Yeah.
love that. And I feel like that physical piece, I talk about this in my book too. Focus and using your body, using your physiology are the two quickest ways to change that mindset, to change that story that you're hung out in. And it's so powerful. It sounds so simple. Oh, that's too simple. It won't work for me. People want to think to themselves, right? But the walk, I mean, I got half the stuff from my book by going out the door and going for a walk, right?
My entire first book was written on a walk. Literally, I voice recorded in every day and then I put it all together and then I did the editing. I get all of my downloads on my walk. And there have been many days where I'm so tired in bed, not tired, well, physically, but a lot of just like stressed, worried about, like right now, my cat's having issues. Like
Mm,
we and I worry and I say to myself, just go walk. And it
mm,
shifts the energy. It shifts everything that I'm thinking and moves through us. And I'm able to see something in a new light, to be able to change a story or embrace it in a different way.
so true. I came up with my 5 step process on a walk. I've come up with so many song ideas on a walk because we think it's like we're just so, we take it for granted, but there's so many things going on in our body. Like you said, we're changing perspective, we're changing our physical body, and so we're quickly changing our mind. We're also walking in a nice pattern, a synchronized pattern where we're weaving our energies back and forth across the midline, which is what we're supposed to be doing. Oh, that makes us feel so good. Oh, and we're out in nature, right? You want to add that in too, right? Which is the best place to ground yourself.
100%. Nature is, I have 5 pillars of joy, and nature is one of those. Just being in awe of the beauty around us, of what we've been given. Like it very much separates you from your own problems, whatever that is. So
Yeah.
it's absolutely a doorway into joy.
Oh, and it's an easy doorway, guys. So if that's going to be your one little commitment you want to make to yourself, your one little morning thing, you can even do like a walking meditation, right? Joe Dispenza does a really cool walking meditation, because that's where you're going to reconnect with yourself, which is what we started talking about at the top of the hour. Who am I? What do I want? What are my values? Ooh, what feels good? What am I forgetting about? What can I do to bring joy every day? Well, how can I feed my soul? These are the kind of things you automatically think about. So, I mean, I'm guilty of taking this, with me on my
Mhm.
phone. Excuse me. And it's always so much better when I don't when I put it away. I was doing this little intuition course, and it said, don't walk with your phone. You know, the days that I got all of my great stuff, I was not listening to anything on my phone, but it's a great time to get a podcast, or we want to check something off on our to do list, right? But it's really not about that. It's about going inward and seeing what's in there and listening to the soul's messages.
They're always there. And I do take my phone every day. But what I do for myself, because number one, I've been recording, I do video vlogs as I'm walking. I do it in the last half. I've been doing them for 15, 20 years. It's my journal for me. But what I do is I commit to keeping my phone for half of my walk. And that gives me time to connect to hear the messages. And then I pull my phone out to give some of what I have just received, the download. And through that, as well in nature, so much more unfolds. I do listen to walking meditations. Like I make sure in this walk that there are many layers because I've been doing it for so long, but that there is full presence in what I'm doing. And that I talk about in my book about presence being the secret to joy and in ways that we can find that presence. Simple things that we can do. It's not always about sitting 8 hours cross-legged going, there's other ways to do it. But in that is where you get to connect to that, to joy.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, that's beautiful. And you talk about this in your new book, Joy Unleashed. Um, and it's a gorgeous thing because, you know, that's where that's in that moment, that present moment, that is where joy lives. There are
Yeah.
no problems in that present moment. It's really the truest moment, but yet we spend half of our life either thinking about the past or worried about the future, right? Thinking about the woulda, shoulda, coulda stories from the past, or oh, what's going to happen and the Earth world stories, which seem valid these days. So it's like
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So it's like that's where we get stuck. So we're going to be right back, everybody. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Shari. Hold on. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Look for the Good. And I'm here with Shari. We're having the most incredible conversation. America's Joy Magnet, right? If you didn't get that the first time, I'm going to keep saying her title because it's so awesome. And we were talking about presence. Now, this is something that's really just close to my heart because I talk about it in my book. I call it PMA, not to be confused with PMS. It's present moment awareness. Let's go back to that because people know that they should be present, but I feel like they have a really hard time getting there. They have a story that says, I got to move or run or I got to be busy, right? So, talk a little bit about how do they bring themselves, give them a couple tips on how to be present.
Sure. So I'm one of those people that used to be like, I could only get present. I'm going to stop and meditate and do all of these things. And presence can show up in any moment. I'm sure we've all heard, simple breaths like putting your hand on your heart and that, I also set alarms on my phone every hour that say connection break. And that
Ooh.
reminds me when I'm in the middle of anything, that goes off. And that is a reminder to stop what I'm doing, close my eyes, and just take a quick breath. That's a bonus. That's not in the book, but I talk a
Ooh,
lot.
that's a
So,
bonus. Ooh, I
but
love it.
in Joy Unleashed, I go through a few. I'll just give a couple right now. But one of them is I call it the stoplight game. And, as we're driving, a simple thing is that we can do is when there's a red light, when our car stops, we stop.
Mm.
And for me, that means focusing, feeling my hands on a steering wheel. That means looking around, seeing things that I haven't seen before, because often when we're driving, we are lost in that loop and going over everything. And so it's a little
Yeah.
game I play with myself. That's like literally, okay, red light means stop. And like I said, I feel my hands, I look around, and that just brings me right to the present moment. And whether that leads me, which it often does, to a better path, what it does do, it breaks up, it interrupts a pattern of where I was, which is
Mm.
usually, not usually, but I've gotten getting better, but not perfect. Not always a good place,
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
can go down.
Totally lost in,
Um,
especially like you said, when we're driving, because that subconscious mind takes over and we start thinking. That's why when we get there, we go, how did we get here? Because I was just so lost in my monkey mind listening to all the things, right? It's such
exactly. And
distraction.
Yeah, it breaks that up. And the more and more that we play these little games with ourselves, the more that we train ourselves to have presence in different moments. I do it also in rooms. So I call it the reframe. And
Mm.
every time, so when you walk into a new room or you touch a doorknob or, you get out of the shower, I think about who I want to be in that room. So I want to be more confident. I want to be more playful. I choose some character or something. And so when I walk through that frame of the door, I am now that person I want to show up as. And again, what that does is it just and these are games for me. It brings me to the presence again and rewires wherever I was to now be who I want to be.
I love that. I love that so much. I'm doing a lot of work on identity, and this is what you're talking about, right? It's like, it's never mind the goal list and all that. I talk a lot about this too, like, especially this time of year. Like, that's why everybody's probably dropped their New Year's resolutions because they don't work. Because it's not really that. It's about shifting your identity. It's
Yes.
really about, I feel like it's really about remembering who you are, right?
Right. Yes. Yes. And that honestly, I mean, I love that. That could go off on another whole conversation.
A
Because
whole
yes,
nother show.
ultimately, I haven't actually said for me, because when I talk about joy a lot, often people believe that it's the sunshine and the flowers and all of the sunflowers. And yes, while those are the beautiful things, to me, my pure definition of joy is the connection to who we are and the full expression of that.
Yeah.
Because when we are fully connected to ourselves and to our truth, that's why as children, there's so much joy. Because as kids, we are connected to who we are before the world has told us to be someone different. And
Yes.
so, yeah, and so that is why. So when I say joy, and people may be like, well, how is getting present? How does that bring you more joy? I'm like, because it connects me to who I am and all that exists in that moment.
That's so beautiful. And that, my friends, is why we came here to this planet in the first place. We just forgot. We forgot. We're not here to morph ourselves into everybody else. We're here to be 100% totally, authentically us. Because
Yes.
it's my special sauce and Sherry's special sauce and your special sauce. That is what we're here to deliver in the way that only we can do, that makes it our unique superpower, right?
Yes, and when we're able to see that within ourselves and love that within ourselves, we then give the gift to others to love who they are, even when it's different than who we are.
I love that. It's like a little granting of permission. Not that you need permission, but that's what you're doing when you're showing and expressing, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is what I've created my life to be. You give everybody else the license to do the same thing and the inspiration, really, more than anything.
Yes, 100%. And what I think is so important too in that is when I was going through my own self-healing journey and I realized, as much as I hate saying it, that I wasn't perfect and that I didn't know everything and that sometimes I did hurt people, not purposely, but when I saw what my intention was and how I still hurt someone anyway, I then started learning, oh, well, maybe someone else did the same with me. Maybe they
Mm.
unintentionally. And so I started extending more compassion to others. And so this journey inward and with more self-love allowed me to love others more fully. And that's why I now am able to go, not always easy, I'm going to keep saying that, but to be able to go, oh, they just don't see things the way that you see them. Doesn't mean one is right, one is wrong, but that just gift of allowing each of us to be that full expression, which is still love and joy at the end of the day,
Yep.
without all the fears and all that stuff. But, that gift is not just a gift for yourself, it's for everybody.
I love that. Excuse me. Just passing that along again and giving you that compassion to understand. And that's the perspective, right? It's shifting your lens. I love the analogy of the camera. Do you have your telephoto lens on, or do you have your wide angle lens? Like, are you, because normally we don't see life the way it really is. We see the life the way we are, which is a quote, and I say in my book, which is just what you're saying, right? And so when we can say, hey, wait a second, I was doing this, I wonder if somebody else was, it brings forgiveness into the realm, which is one of the most beautiful things, really, is forgiveness.
Yeah. It's interesting as we talk about perspective lens stories and the ways that we see the world ourselves. I always tell on my partner, and he's like, "Can you stop talking about me?" But what's funny and what really has opened my eyes is that, him and I can be walking down the street to the store together, and although we're seeing physically the same things, our minds are perceiving totally different because he'll point out the garbage on the street or, "Oh, why is this here?" And I'm busy like, "Look at how beautiful this tree is, hun. Look at the sky." Like, and we're seeing the same world, but through different eyes. And that's just such a great reminder that, everybody is seeing it differently. And the stories, like as your work does, that we tell ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Because those stories really are our beliefs. They're our BS, our belief system, but they're also our BS, the other kind, right? Because we're seeing that through our own filter lens, I love that. And it's funny that you said that your partner said stop talking about me because all of my best material, all my best songs, the ones that will give you chills and make you cry, are probably about my husband. He's like, I'm glad I can provide some good material for you.
I tried stand-up comedy for like a short stint, and all of the material was on him. And I was like, "But babe, I got the best laughs. Like it really did. I'm sorry." I was like, "Stop being this way, and maybe I won't have to tell these jokes."
I love that. Talk to us a little bit about that because that is, I love that. And by the way, just tying this into our similarity is one of my favorite parts of getting on stage when I was a musician was telling the funny stories between because I had so much banter from having two small kids at the time. But share that, what an experience, a life experience that must have been.
It was, and it was terrifying, and I wasn't great at it. And but I did it anyway. And it
Yay.
was honestly, I look back and the reason why I did it was because in college, I studied theater, and in college, improvisation and all of that terrified me. Like I would skip class when I knew we would do it, whether that was in high school, and it was because it was a control. I end up realizing later it's like I don't have control of a situation and I worry about what everybody else thinks and am I going to be good enough? And so I would just freeze and not be able to think of things. And years later, this was just a few years ago, someone popped up in my feed and I saw that they were taking a stand-up comedy class and all immediately I went, "Oh, that sounds fun," in my head.
Uh-huh.
And I had already decided that I was just going to follow through on things that sparked my interest. And so I found out from her, I signed up for the class. I ended up doing it at a famous comedy club here in LA. And I did about 3 or 4 shows. I realized that I am a great actress. Like I have great comedic timing, but joke writing is not my thing. The teacher was like, and he's also a really good comedian. He said to me, he goes, your jokes are really intellectual. I'm like, they're not funny. Just say they're not funny. I'm like, if you have to tell me that people have to think about them, I'm like that. So it was very short-lived. It was
uh,
very short-lived, but it gave me so much confidence and I was so proud of myself. And it was just, yeah, like, go outside your comfort zone.
yeah, totally. I was just going to say that because it gives you that confidence because you said you were going to do it and you did it. And I
Yeah.
think people misconstrue confidence. That's really where confidence comes from. It's not how great you are that made you confident. It was because you said you were going to do it and you did it, right?
Yeah.
You
Yes.
followed through.
Yeah. And it was a fear that I faced too. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
all of that. And that gave me the confidence of just like, if you can get up there and do that, you can do anything. Now, the next time that you do speak and you are not with your keynote memorized or whatever, and you could just go off the cuff or whatever that is, that I now have the confidence to be able to do that even more. And you're right. It is about repeated things that you do again and again. I like to think of promises, and the more and more that we keep our promises to ourselves, the more confidence we build.
Totally, because that's who we have to show up for. We're so busy showing up for everybody else. We know we can do that really easily,
Yeah.
but we forget about ourselves. And all of this is wrapped around that, really reconnecting to ourselves. And if you say to yourself, I'm going to do this one little thing every morning, then you better do it because then the mind starts messing with you. Oh, look, she said she was going to do this. She can't even do this. This creates those stories right now. We've got even more stories and we're giving more ammunition to that little monkey mind of ours. So, and besides, it feels so good to follow through and do it.
It does. It does. And even if you don't do it well, like I said, just the fact that it feels better to have done it than to have that voice that consistently berates you, for those of us
Yes.
who have the berater
Yeah.
at times,
I think we all have the berater.
I do too. I do
We all
too.
have
And it
that.
again, it's just how much are you feeding that? Like how and
Yes.
that's what I have learned in my journey. I would say I don't know if that negative voice ever goes away, but it's how much attention do
Mm-hmm.
I give that back to the tuning
Yes.
in, and dimming how much that and the tools. And that's all it is. It's none of us are perfect. But how much grace are we going to show
Mm-hmm.
ourselves even when that even if we feed into that negativity in the moment, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
are we going to then beat ourselves up over because we listen to that voice?
Right.
That we've got to stop the cycle at some point.
Absolutely. And that's why I love calling it out. Oops, look at there I go again. Huh. Look
You
at
silly
that.
pickle.
You silly pickle. You silly pickle. Right. Oops, there I go again. Oops, judge that person. Sorry. Right. Oops, exit out, erase it, take that back. Right. So it's in those moments. And I think I love that you said you silly pickle because brevity is the secret, right? Bringing humor to those situations where you could get mad at yourself. I mean, how long have we been doing this work? If you saw the back of my desk, I have sticky notes all over my wall because I need to remember.
Yes. Yes. I do a
Right?
lot of news interviews and I have every sticky note there in front of me. I'm just like, it is what it is.
Yeah,
But
because
we need to remember.
we do. We need to remember. We need the repetition. We need to keep reinforcing that, even for
Yeah.
ourselves. So we're going to break really quick, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about Shari's new book, Joy Unleashed. So don't go anywhere. Be right back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Look for the Good. I'm here with Shari, America's Joy Magnet, and I want to talk about your book, Shari, your new book, Joy Unleashed. I love the title. That's what drew me to you in the first place. Well, of course, your title, but your book, your new book, Joy Unleashed. Let's talk a little bit about that, and I want to hear the inspiration behind it because you and I have very similar inspirations to why we wrote our books.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited about it. As I've shared, I've been talking about joy for a really long time. And as I was getting ready to work on or was working on creating this docu-series that I did that you mentioned in the beginning, I had been asked by a publisher to write a book on joy for a long time, and it was one of those things where you're just not feeling it at that moment. I was focusing on the TV show, and my dad in 2025, the start of 2025, got diagnosed with ALS. And my dad was super active and just, he had just been here in January of 2025 and we had gone hiking together. He loved the trails with me. He was 78 years old and still like, let's go. And, but his hand wasn't working properly. He couldn't open jars. And so when he got back, he was gonna, we were thinking it was like carpal tunnel, sorry, carpal
Mm-hmm.
tunnel. And when they told him ALS, everything changed. And he was diagnosed in March and he passed in December. So January of 2025, it was 10 months,
Yeah.
10 months that,
Wow.
and during that time, I moved to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to take care of dad and left my show, left all the things that I was doing. And during that time, dad and my parents were divorced, and my dad and I really got an opportunity to get to know each other. And it was a life-changing thing for me in terms of I thought that I understood joy on some level,
Yeah.
and no one would ever put together joy and ALS and caregiving and death. But it is really where I got the inspiration of presence with him. And the publisher popped into my head, and I said to her, I'm ready to write this book. And I wanted to share not just my voice on joy, because to be honest, I needed inspiration. I needed a spark too. And so I invited 24 other experts and people to join me in sharing how they experience joy even during the most difficult times like terminal illness, caregiving, chronic pain, um, reconnection, reparenting, trauma, abuse. And so, for anyone that thinks that joy is not possible, this book will change your mind.
Wow. I had a full body chill right there when you were describing all that. That is so profound. And it's the thing that we struggle with the most. Like people are probably like, wait, we how do you do that? Like how do you find joy in that moment? And I love that you dropped everything and went down and moved in with your dad and then got to know him, right? Because people change over time. We know you knew him back when he was your parent, right? Like
Yeah.
in that role.
Yeah. And, like I said, I didn't live in a house with him. We would see him on weekends and he was always the fun dad. And, we would drive him crazy. He would take us bowling in the morning, then movies in the afternoon. Then we'd be like, we're still bored. Like the weekends were filled with like so many activities. And as we grew up, of course, we were still connected and we did become friends. We became more than dad and daughter and we were very close, but it's very different taking care of your parent full time. And I was his full-time caregiver. And my dad was 6'4". And we had someone that came in from 8 a.m. to noon. But once she left at noon, it was me. And he had no use of any of his limbs. He was, he couldn't communicate. So it became a relationship where we got to know each other on so many levels. And I share about it in the book, the actual literal experience that changed how I looked at presence and joy and the moment that I would have missed if I had chosen to go there and still, be not present, still trying to figure out this. Like I said to myself, Shari, if you are going to go take care of your dad, you are going to put everything else aside and you're going to focus fully on him. And if I hadn't made that choice, I wouldn't have figured out what my purpose here on life is, what love really is. It was in a moment, in a glance, and that changed everything for me. And I was like, I need to write about this. I need to write about him. And I'm going to bring a lot of other voices in here as well.
Wow. Again, another full body chill. What your purpose is in life. Like I feel like that is so huge because you probably thought you already knew what your purpose in life was,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And it's so simple and it's so simple for all of us. And I know that we've heard it and we all know that our purpose here is to love, is to show up for each other, is to be fully. It was just love. I mean, honestly, like to give back like that, to be there, to allow someone in to give all of ourselves. It was, those powerful moments where everything comes together and makes sense. And it happened. I can't explain because like I said, he could not communicate at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so we only used our eyes. And I'm just going to share the moment just because my stepsister that was with me at the time, because we used to perform and dance for him and try to get him to, his eyes to twinkle and small smiles that he was able to do. And we were doing our thing. And then he just stopped and he looked over at me. And it was as if I got shot with a beam of love like I'd never. And my stepsister goes, "Did you just see that?"
Wow.
And I just paused and I said, "I see that?" Like I felt that. It was literally an energy shift that both of us felt in that moment where his eyes changed from almost glossed over to it was just, I don't know another way to explain what he shared with me. And I was like, that was it. Like everything of my life made sense in that moment. Everything came together. And if I had not been present with him and for that, I wouldn't have understood the simplicity and the beauty and the power of our lives here.
Oh, seriously, my whole body is chilled right now because that is so beautiful. I feel like I just shared that moment with you there because it would have been how many moments? I have so many things to say about this. Like, how many moments have we missed? I don't like to think about that, but how many of those beautiful moments? And that is such a beautiful gift that was given to you.
It was, and I share in the book that it doesn't take being in a hospital room or a hospice room to have those moments. Like when you just said, how many of those moments do we miss? It is like, how many moments do we miss walking down the street because we're holding our phones? How many moments do we miss because we're busy in our heads thinking like, how different and powerful and loving and beautiful would life be if we just gifted each other this, and this is it, right here, presence. And that changed everything for me because I'm like, yes, it is joy and yes, it is all that, but we always hear our purpose here is to love, but you know that when you have to embody it and experience something for yourself for you to fully get it, and I
Yeah,
got it. And I was like, there's no way that this is not the same for everybody. This is so powerful. Like there's no way.
yeah. And here's the thing. It's so it's so simple and it's so right in front of our face all the time, but we don't see it. We don't see it.
Because we don't slow down.
We don't
Because
slow
we
down.
don't slow down.
Yeah,
Like,
that's totally it.
yeah.
We're addicted to busy.
Yeah. And every chapter in that book shares its own story. And what was interesting is that I asked each author, that was coming forward, like, what is it that they're going to write about? I didn't know every detail, but what you'll find the overlap is that every single person was about presence in some way, was about, having that moment of that clarity of it and understanding it. And it was like, I knew that in my heart, but again, I'm one person shouting out to the void. Now here's a bunch of other people that are saying basically the same thing through their lens and their story and what that was. And it's a powerful reminder of what we have available at our fingertips right now. That's within us.
And what we all share in our beautiful human experience here together. That is our commonality, right? Like
Yeah.
in that we all, the fact that all 28 people came in with that same exact thing, it's like there's your research done right there for you. It's like,
Yes.
right? It's
I was like,
like,
okay, 2 decades of this work, I'm not crazy. I'm like, I didn't just find this out, like,
right.
because it's my viewpoint for all these years and saying this. And so it was funny. My publisher was like, aren't you glad you finally, I'm like, yes, you were right. You were right. Because what this book, honestly saying yes again to that thing is what it did was it allowed me healing too, to be able to hear all these stories and to see how everybody else has found it and what they've been through. And it gave me focus for this
Mm-hmm.
past year since dad's been gone
Mm-hmm.
and reignited something in me along with working, on the show. And all of that is talking about joy, facing joy, looking at it while in the midst of grief.
Right.
I mean, that's a
Yes.
life lesson in itself.
Oh, it's such a huge life lesson. And it's like, really, I love what you said about saying yes, right? We got to say yes to those things that come our way, and then when they're presented to us, really fully embodying them, like you did. You may because we really always have that choice. We just don't realize it. We think somehow we are so connected. We're so married to our busy. All right, got to do this. I got to get all this stuff done. Our to-do list. But really, do we have to be right? Like this is an eye-opening experience for I think for a lot of people to make them really take some inventory of wow what it makes me think of my kids too like what have I missed what
Yeah.
did I miss along the way.
And I could have told every story as to why I couldn't go take care of him. I had a show that I had just started, a season. I had my partner, I had my cats. I had every reason to be like, we need to find another way and somebody else to take care of him. Um, we can, when it comes to what is important and prioritized, we can find it. And there are gifts within even something as hard as that was.
Yeah, oh my gosh, but the gift that it was, you wouldn't trade that for the world. That one moment that you were there for that you didn't even know you were waiting for was the moment that changed everything for you.
It was everything. It was everything like valid. Like there was so many things in it that just in that moment, it was, yeah, it was all there. And that was the gift. And I never would have experienced it if I didn't go.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That has got to be a movie somehow right there. I'm feeling a
Girl, I see it
song.
all.
I'm feeling a song coming up about this. Maybe it could be
Yes.
like the trailer at the end. Like, yeah, and it's just those moments of capturing them. But first, you got to get yourself there. And thank you for giving us those tips because I love when people give some tips to the listeners. So practice those tips, guys. Practice that. Bring yourself. Play some of those games. Like you said, joy is a muscle. I love that.
Yes.
I don't think I've heard anybody say that before.
You
I mean,
build it. You build it.
build it. One little tiny exercise at a time. One little remembrance. And then when you start seeing those moments, it's just going to magically change your perspective to be looking for more, because we get what we look for, right?
Yes, yes. One of my favorite things I'll just share really quickly that also in the book is called a joy stamp. And
Mm.
what it is at the end of the day, you ask yourself, what is something that I'm so glad I did not miss today?
Oh,
And
I love that.
and once you do that, that's putting a stamp on the day. And so what that does is train your brain that every day you're looking for the good, right? Like you're going to start becoming, right? You're going to start becoming aware of the things that are the good things that are happening in your life. Because you know, at that end of the day, you're putting that joy stamp on it. And it's so powerful to be able to show up more presently in your everyday.
That was such a beautiful wrap. Okay, when are we starting the Shari and Carrie show? That was a beautiful wrap with your putting your joy stamp on the very end and my look for the good stamp, because really they are one and the same, right? And it's a choice, because your mind wants to always look for what's wrong. So unless you say, hey, I want to start looking for something different, I want to feel different in my life, here's a way to do it. So go get Shari's book, Joy Unleashed. Where can they find out more about you?
They can go to my website, sharialyse.com. All of my socials are there. I'm on video every day. So whether we're making silly, karaoke videos or I'm sharing some more joy tips, you can find me on TikTok, on Instagram, everywhere.
Okay, so we love to spell, because we do this
Okay.
the radio first and then video second.
Yes, you're right. Sharialyse.com, ShariAlyse.
Awesome. All right. This has been unbelievable. I don't want it to end because I want to hear more of your stories. So, everybody, go get a copy of her book. Look her up, America's Joy Magnet. I can't thank you enough for coming on. This was absolutely very beautiful, and this will be a treasured episode, I'm sure.
Thank you so much for asking me. I love this and I can't wait for our show.
Yeah, me too. And stay tuned for the Carrie and Shari show. And remember, everybody, it is never too late to live your best story. Be well.
Thanks for tuning in to Look for the Good with your host, Carrie Rowan, best-selling author and mindset coach. Join us every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. right here at Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. If you weren't able to catch an episode, no worries. Just visit our website to find all the archived episodes of Look for the Good on demand, so you don't miss a thing. And remember, it's never too late to live your best story. For additional resources or to find out about how you can work with Carrie directly, visit carrierowan.com for more details.